Hi there, it's Cycle Camp, and we have a pretty halfway decent morning this morning here in Connecticut, about 40 degrees. So I just got through reorganizing my garage, and I thought I would give myself a little treat and take some of the firearms that we had out in Tulsa, that we bought out in Tulsa, and actually shoot them today. So today we're going to shoot the Remington Rolling Block, the Pattern 5 Remington Rolling Block. We're going to shoot the model 1917, commonly miscalled the Enfield. And we're going to shoot, if it'll go off, we're going to shoot the Swiss Vetterli in 41 caliber rimfire. So those would be the three guns we're going to try to shoot today. So first thing we're going to do is go set some targets up downrange, and I'll be back, pick a gun, and whack away. Okay, so these are the targets I set up. Even though we're only shooting three guns, I set up 4 targets because I want to cover as much with paper as possible, because I have no idea where these things are going to hit. And so those are the targets we set up, and they're about 50 yards downrange, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so I decided we're going to shoot the American guns first, just because I like America. And what we're going to shoot first is the Remington Rolling Block. This is probably the most iffy gun of the 3 to shoot. As you remember from the video, when I took off the 2 stocks, there was some pitting of the barrel underneath. But I've looked into it. I don't believe that the pitting is significant enough to make a difference. I'm using very old ammunition, Winchester Super X. And this is, what is this? This is 175 grain soft point, 7mm. So we're not going to fire this gun a lot of times. But we'll see what happens. I'm going to fire at the lowest target on the left-hand side. Just adjust my glasses here. Well, it went bang. Let's see if the action works. So we'll pull the hammer back, and the extractor works. Excellent. So very happy about that. Let's try another. See what kind of group we get. I'm doing the pumpkin on the post with the sight, with the target. This has a relatively stiff trigger pull, but it is not. It's not creepy at all. It just breaks. It's just a little stiff. And for a gun that's much older than me or my dad, this one shoots pretty well. Right? The sights on this are okay. They the notch in the rear tang is pretty good, and the front sight is a triangular affair, so it's kind of pointy. So it's not too hard to shoot. It's not too hard to see. Everything still seems to be holding together okay. I don't feel any looseness in any of the parts after those whacks. So we'll take 2 more and then quit. I like to shoot groups of 5. I'm really glad that ejector is working really well. I think that might have been a little tough to get a hold of. Interesting action. I can see this was a real, this must have been a real killer. The sights are a little cockeyed on this. I don't know if it's moving since I shot it or what, but the sights are a little cockeyed. Okay, and that's 5. So we'll open her up and put our empty chamber indicator in, set her down. Now, I'm not going to go check the targets every single time. What I'll do is I'll just set up for the next gun and then fire the next one. Okay, now we're going to shoot the model 1917. Safe. And I'm going to put 5 rounds in the magazine. Because this was a conversion from a 303 to a 30-06, this gun actually holds 6 rounds instead of 5. because the original, the 303s with the rims, they took more space in the magazine, and we didn't change really the magazine very much. So this gun will actually hold 6, but they still issued 5 capacity stripper clips. When the stripper clips for this only held 5 rounds. But you could, if you had loose ammo, you could stick a 6th one in here if you wanted to. Okay? So we'll do the same thing. We'll take 5 shots. This one I'm going to shoot on the left-hand side again, but I'm going to shoot at the upper target this time. This gun had the nicest, this one had the nicest bore, and all around the metal, and this one was in very good shape. Help if I took the safety off. Okay, I'm squeezing it, but I can't get it to fire. So let's see what's going on here. Try it again. All right, so there's something wrong here because I can't get the firearm to fire. It's quite possible that I assemble it badly. Then again, maybe not. Again, I don't think that the safety came all the way off. That first one's going to be a bit of a flyer. The action seems to be working okay. Another one. Very smooth. Okay. Very smooth operating action on this one. I cleaned up very well, so I'm not real surprised. Okay, so we'll do the same thing. Now we're going to go to the Vetterli, and the Vetterli is a little weird because it has that rimfire ammunition, and the ammunition is really old. So there's a pretty good chance it won't go off at all. So I figure one or two things are going to happen. It's either not going to go off at all, or it's going to be really touchy. So as a result, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 4 rounds in the magazine, and then I'm going to eject them, just to see if the action works okay. But I am not going to fire the gun with rounds in the magazine because I just don't know the stability of those really old rounds. The hardware of the gun itself is in really good shape, except the bore is a little crudded up. But I think that'll be the safest way to approach this. So let me bring it over to the top here, and we'll see if the action cycles properly. I didn't want to do that at home for obvious reasons. We'll see if the action cycles properly, and then we'll tap a couple of them and see if they go off. Okay, we have the 4 rimfire cartridges for the Vetterli. See if they load up. Two, 3, and 4. Okay. So the elevator came up and it chambered around fine. See if it ejects. Whoop, did eject. Oh, but the next one didn't come up in the elevator. Oh, now I'm going to have to go figure that out. So give me a minute. I'm going to shut this off and figure out what's going on here. What I had to do was remove the elevator and spring assembly and gently tap the back of the gun on the bench to get the rounds to drop out. There are some problems with the rounds hanging up in the magazine. Okay, so what we have determined, or as best as we can tell, the elevator and the extractor mechanism works like they're supposed to, but the magazine is hanging up. Once there's more than 1 or 2 rounds in it, the magazine is hanging up and the spring doesn't have enough tension to put them back. So we're going to manually load this and try taking a whack at it with that. Again, if it goes off once, that's all we care about. So we're going to go for the right side target, and I'm going to shoot at the bottom target, assuming this is going to shoot high. Oh my God, it actually went off. I can't believe it. Now these old rounds come out very badly, so sometimes you have to help them a little bit. Well, we're going to do one more. I can't believe that actually went off. And we'll try it again. So that'll give me 2 for show, unless I go back to Tulsa. I really don't like this secondary finger guard. It doesn't fit my hand very well. Maybe it's because I'm not Swiss. Ah, amazing. That ammo has got to be, I mean, I'd be surprised if it's not almost 100 years old. All right. And that's what's going on. It's almost like copper jacketed. So here are 2 rounds. So I would say we had a very successful day today shooting our guns from Tulsa. Thanks for hanging around with me. I'll take the camera down and we'll see if we hit the target at all with any of these. So let's look at the results. So on the rolling block, you'll notice we never touched the target down there. Here's everything on the upper target. So these 3 and these 2 are from the rolling block, where I was aiming here and hit here. And remember, I said the sights were kind of canted. I wonder if they're just plain off. So that's where those went. A little further up, here's the stuff we did with the 1917. The 1917 actually shot pretty well, you know, given I've never shot that gun before. So I was pretty happy with that. And so finally, if we go back to our other guy, our Swiss 41. So here's the target we were aiming at on the bottom. Here's the one on the top. Here's where the 2 points of impact were. There's one right here, right in between the 2 targets, and there's one right here in between the 2 targets. So that gun, and we knew the barrel in that gun, they're probably going down there like things in a pinball machine. But all in all, great. All the guns fire, and you know me, I'm happy with that. To start off our rolling block after action report, we'll take a look at the rounds that it fired. These are the 5 cases that we shot. You'll see that they have great little dimples for the firing pin strikes. So that's good to know, because in a lot of rolling blocks the firing pins are broken. Obviously if ours had been broken it wouldn't have worked at all, but these look very nice, so I feel good about the firing pin that's in. And something did go wrong with the rolling block that wasn't terribly obvious out there at the field. I don't know if you can see it, but right here, that bottom stock is separating away. Let me bring the camera down. The bottom stock is separating away from the receiver. So, and you can see it. It's a little easier to see up here. You notice how the barrel band has walked forward on the top of the handguard. It's forward a little bit. So I expect that what's going on here is that there is a recoil lug in here that is either a little on the rotten side, or the wood is a little on the rotten side, and that is not doing its job in keeping the action from separating off from the bottom of the stock. So that's pretty minor, you know, as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure I might be able to put some filler in there or something to help straighten that up, but that was the only thing that I found wrong with this. Again, the front sight seemed to be canted a little side to side. So, but other than that, it shoots just fine, and so I'm not going to worry about the front sight. I can certainly adjust this later on, or I can. It actually seemed to be windage wise, it seemed to be okay. It was just the elevation that was screwed up, and I expect military firearms to shoot real high anyway. So that's basically what happened with the Remington Rolling Block. So I opened up the firearm, and as I suspected, well, the recoil lug itself is in pretty good shape. It's got a little bit of a taper to it that it shouldn't have, but it's not in horrible shape. You will find that the compartment that it rides in right here is a little on the boogered up side. So that's what's happening. Is this should be right across here. This whole, all of this is worn off, and that's what's allowing this thing to slide backwards and get us in trouble. So we'd have to put some filler or something in there to try to help stop that action. You know, file this off square, file this locking lug off square, and then bed it down in there a little better, and that would stop that from coming back. But this obviously is not going to be a gun I'm going to be shooting all the time, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. But that is what happened to it. I will note that the pitting that we had, we were able to get the rust out of the pitting, so that's great. We've stopped it from rusting, and I'm actually going to give it a little bit of ballistol in here before I put it away, because ballistol helps inhibit rust. And that's basically the after action report on the Rolling Block. So moving along to the model 1917, again we see this is Lake City ammo. This is good old vintage 1969. This is pretty old stuff, but this is Lake City 30-06 ammo that we were using in the 1917, and you can see again good solid primer strikes, no issues there. Now the issue that we were having trying to get the gun to fire, I believe that is operator error, and because I can re-demonstrate it here. So basically what happened is, this firearm is currently in the safe position, and in the safe position there's a pin that sticks through here that keeps the bolt from opening. So you cannot, the bolt is locked, you cannot open it at this point in time. But what I had done was I had opened the bolt and then set the firing, set the safety. Now what's going to happen as we close the bolt, let me depress the follower in the magazine here. As you bring it forward, look how far out the bolt sticks, the indicator sticks on the pin. That's not right. And as we move this forward, what happens is this is now catching on a secondary lug. This is a safety feature of this gun, I believe. And if you try to pull the trigger will not pull. You have to open the gun again and cock it while the safety is off. And now I can fire the gun, and that's exactly what happened when we were out there. So I thought at first that I had a problem with the safety, but I believe this is operator error. This is my fault. I did not correctly use the safety on the firearm. Okay, so we're going to end up our range report with the Swiss Vetterli 1881, which is in 41 rimfire. These are the two original cartridges that I still have left, and you'll see that they are, there's no primer in there, there's just the U that indicates the manufacturer. So if we take a look at our two rounds that we actually fired, and I was absolutely amazed that that both of them fired, you'll notice the two dots, and this is where that forked shape firing pin comes in and strikes it on both sides at once. Apparently this is a very effective system, because these, as old as these rounds are, they both still went off. So quite interesting. Now we did have some problems with the firearm. All the problems that we had the firearm, I believe, stemmed from me not cleaning the firearm properly. When I took the firearm apart and I cleaned and I disassembled it and I separated off the lower stock, I opened up the magazine. I took off the retaining collar and the follower and the spring, but I never chased out the actual magazine itself. So what was happening was these rounds would go in the magazine, but once the rim part encountered the magazine, they would start to jam and they would not come back properly. So, and it is a very weak spring.
But I believe the real issue here is that I need to take this apart again, and I need to run a rod through through that brass magazine and get that cleaned up. Other than that, the gun fired okay. I mean, it didn't have any accuracy at all. But as you probably recall from our original cleaning video, that barrel was pretty rotten, and a lot of the rifling in this gun is gone. So I didn't really expect it to be a very accurate weapon, but I am just pleased as punch that everything works as well as it did, and I was actually able to fire the firearm. That was just so exciting for me to actually get it to go off and feel what it feels like to actually shoot one of these. Again, very heavy weapon with a moderate cartridge, very pleasant to shoot. I really wish you could get this stuff. Maybe I will look into getting another bolt and converting this to center fire and shooting it some more, because it is such a delight to shoot, though not accurate at all. So that basically ends our video, and really glad that you stuck through it all. Thank you so much for hanging with me and watching me enjoy these 3 firearms that I picked up at the Tulsa show here this past November. Again, if you're looking for a great place to hang out for firearms and firearm people that are into the shooting sports, firearms, reloading, Second Amendment issues, concealed carry or regular open carry, gunchannels.com is the place to go. Please join us out there. You'll find a lot of like-minded people, and I'm sure you'll really enjoy some of the conversations. Again, thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.